We're here talking about a forthcoming book of mine called The Force of Law, to be published by the Harvard University Press the very beginning of 2015. The very brief theme of the book is that in order to understand law, we have to understand that at the heart of law is law telling us what to do and threatening us with bad stuff if we don't do it. There's this widespread assumption that people often obey the law just because it's law. Turns out that's not true. For example, a few years ago, Los Angeles tried to have an honor system on its light rail system. It was an utter failure. People widely did not pay the fare, and Los Angeles reverted to some form of modern variety of a turnstile system. And once we understand that obedience to law just because it is law is pretty rare, sanctions, force, and coercion come back into the picture, because then we see that's really the only way in which law or the legal system can get people to do things other than what they want to do. And when I say what they want to do, not just what they want to do in their own self-interest, but what they think is the right thing to do, all things considered. If we carefully clarify what it is to obey the law just because it is law, presidents, senators, members of Congress, city councilors, and others don't very often obey the law when what the law requires differs from their own best policy and political judgments, and when there are no sanctions. The implications are that in lots of real-world domains, we ought to take more seriously than we do the need for some form of sanctioning in order for law to work. Now, this is not necessarily a universal phenomenon. If you go to Finland at midnight, if the sign says don't walk and there are no cars anywhere around and there's no police anywhere around, the Finns will not cross the street. Not so in the United States, but there are clearly cross-cultural variations in terms of taking the law just because it's law as guidance about what we should do. In the US, certainly more than Finland and certainly more than a lot of other places, the law just as law seems to make less of a difference, even though we like to think that this is a legalized or hyper-legalized society.